Before going to know in detail about cholinergic transmission, let's see what are the components of nervous system. The nervous system has mainly central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system composes of brain and spinal cord, whereas the peripheral nervous system is again divided into two types, that is somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. The somatic nervous system consists only skeletal muscles, whereas the autonomic nervous system is again divided into sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. And this autonomic nervous system is also called as involuntary nervous system or visceral nervous system, because this will monitor the functions of visceral organs. The sympathetic nervous system is also called as adrenergic nervous system, and the main neurotransmitters involved in the sympathetic nervous system are norepinephrine, epinephrine and dopamine, which are also called as catecholamines, whereas the parasympathetic nervous system is also called as cholinergic nervous system, and the main neurotransmitter involved in cholinergic nervous system is also called as acetylcholine. So when we see about the neurohumoral transmission involved with the cholinergic nervous system or parasympathetic nervous system, we write about acetylcholine neurotransmission. Before going to know about the cholinergic neurotransmission, let's see what is neurotransmission in general. Neurotransmission is the process where the neurotransmitters are released from nerve terminals, and these released neurotransmitters will bind with the receptors which are present on postganglionic neuron, and by binding with these receptors on the postganglionic neurons, these will transmit the signals to the target cells. Let's see about cholinergic transmission. This cholinergic transmission is the transmission of impulse on the nerve which is mediated by acetylcholine. And what are the sites of this cholinergic transmission? The sites are parasympathetic neuroeffector junction, autonomic ganglia, adrenal medulla, somatic myoneural junction. Somatic means, as I already said, in the somatic nervous system there will be skeletal muscles, whereas myo means muscle and neural means neuron. This myo comes from the muscle and this neural comes from the neuron. Like we can say that there is a junction between the muscle and this muscle will be innervated by a neuron. So that junction is called somatic myoneural junction. And this cholinergic transmission also takes place in certain regions of central nervous system. Like any neurotransmission will consist of mainly 4 steps, that is synthesis, storage, release and its catabolism. Coming to the synthesis, this synthesis will take place generally in the cholinergic neurons, and in the cholinergic neurons there will be acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA. This acetyl-CoA will come from pyruvate metabolism, and this acetyl-CoA, from this acetyl-CoA, this acetate group will be transferred to the choline and acetylcholine will be formed. This reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme choline acetylase or choline acetyl transferase. As I already said, acetyl-CoA comes from pyruvate metabolism, and choline is generally uptaken into the neuron from plasma, and we can say that this uptake of choline is the rate limiting step. And this choline uptake can be blocked by a synthesis blocker called hemicholine. It competitively blocks the choline uptake. So we can say that choline uptake is the rate limiting step. Coming to the storage, after synthesis in the cytoplasm, it will be transported to the axon vesicles which are present in the nerve terminals and stored there, and it will be released whenever necessary. So this vesamicol, it is a storage blocker. It will block the transport of acetylcholine from the cytoplasm to the axon vesicles. Therefore, it is a storage blocker. Coming to the release of acetylcholine, whenever the action potential comes on synapse or the nerve terminal, the calcium channels will be opened, and after the calcium channels will open, the calcium which is present in the plasma will enter the synaptic membrane and it will fuse with the vesicles. After its fusion with the vesicles, it will cause exocytosis and acetylcholine will be released. There are also two blockers which will inhibit the release. That is, one is botulinum toxin, which will inhibit the release, and there is another toxin called black widow spider toxin, which will induce the massive release. By inducing the massive release, it will deplete the acetylcholine stores. Coming to the catabolism, this catabolism will happen only after the acetylcholine will perform all its functions as neurotransmitter. The catabolism happens with the help of the enzyme called as acetylcholine esterase. This acetylcholine esterase will hydrolyze the acetylcholine to acetic acid and water, and this acetylcholine esterase is generally present in the cholinergic nerves and in the autonomic ganglia, and also in neuromuscular and neuroeffector junctions. After the cholinergic transmission, we should also come to know where this released acetylcholine will act. That is, what are the receptors that are present on the postganglionic membrane. These cholinergic receptors are of mainly two types. One is muscarinic receptor and the other one is nicotinic receptor. These muscarinic receptors are generally GPCRs, that is, these are of the type G protein coupled receptors, whereas the nicotinic receptors are ligand gated. And these muscarinic receptors are stimulated by the muscarine, whereas these are blocked by atropine, whereas nicotinic receptors are stimulated by nicotine and blocked by tubocurarine or hexamethonium. These muscarinic receptors are again subdivided into 5 types, that is M1, M2, M3, M4 and M5, whereas the functions of the M4 and M5 are not well defined. For M1, M2 and M3 we will discuss later. Coming to the nicotinic receptors, these are of two types, NM and NN. NM is also called as N1, NN is also called as N2. The location and functions of M1 receptors we will see now, and these M1 receptors are present mainly in the autonomic ganglia. In the autonomic ganglia, there will be depolarization when acetylcholine acts on M1 receptor, and these M1 receptors are also present on gastric glands, which is helpful for histamine release and acid secretion. These are also present in CNS, but its function is not known. Coming to the M2 receptors, these are mainly present in the heart, we can say. In the SA node, these will decrease the rate of impulse generation, and in the AV node, this will decrease the velocity of conduction. As the rate of impulse is decreased, naturally the velocity of conduction also will be decreased. Thereby it will decrease the contractility function in both atrium and in ventricle, but in ventricles the decreased contractility will be very slight, because the cholinergic receptors are very less, the muscarinic receptors are very less in number in the ventricles, therefore there will be very slight decrease in the contractility. Coming to the cholinergic nerve endings, these will decrease acetylcholine release. And coming to the M3 receptors, these M3 receptors are present on visceral smooth muscles, which is responsible for contraction. On action of acetylcholine on M3 receptor, there will be contraction of visceral smooth muscles, and these M3 receptors are also present on exocrine glands, which will cause secretions of these exocrine glands. In the vascular endothelium, this will cause vasodilation. This vasodilation is caused due to nitric oxide release. This NO is vasodilating agent, therefore vasodilation is caused. And nicotinic receptors, as I already said, these are of two types, NM. From this name, from the indication of this name itself, we can know its location, that is NM, that is neuromuscular junction. In the neuromuscular junction, these are present in the neuromuscular junction, when any cholinergic agents will act on this NM receptor, then contraction of skeletal muscle will take place. The NN receptors are present in autonomic ganglia, which is responsible for the production of postganglionic impulse, which will by causing depolarization. And these are also present in adrenal medulla, which is responsible for the release of epinephrine, norepinephrine and dopamine. And in the CNS, these will cause excitation or inhibition depending on the site. So we can say that in the CNS, these acetylcholine or acetylcholinergic or the cholinergic agonists will cause a site-specific excitation or inhibition. Now, after studying about the different types of receptors of acetylcholine, now let's put the actions of acetylcholine in a nutshell. We can can divide the actions of acetylcholine into two types. We can say one kind of actions are muscarinic actions by its action on muscarinic receptor, and the other kind of action can be nicotinic actions by the action of acetylcholine on nicotinic receptors. The muscarinic actions are mainly seen in heart, blood vessels, smooth muscles. In the heart, as I already said, they will be acting on SA node, AV node, atria and ventricles. They will decrease the rate of impulse generation in SA node. They will decrease the conduction velocity in AV node, and in atria and ventricles they will be decreasing contractility, and in the ventricles the decrease in contractility will be very slight due to the less number of receptors present. In the blood vessels, there will be dilation of blood vessels due to nitric oxide release, and as the dilation of blood vessels will take place, there will be fall in BP, fall in blood pressure. Coming to the smooth muscles, it will cause the contraction of smooth muscles. Generally, these smooth muscles are present in various organs. These smooth muscles are present in GIT, ureter or bronchial muscles. In the GIT, by the action of this cholinergic agents or acetylcholine, the tone and peristalsis will be increased and the sphincters will relax. So by these two actions, that is by the contraction of the GIT muscles and the relaxation of sphincters, abdominal cramps will come, and there will also be evacuation of bowel, which is really useful. This evacuation of bowel is really useful. So we can say that acetylcholine is responsible for evacuation of bowel, and in the ureter, peristalsis will be increased, and the detrusor muscle in the ureter will contract, and the bladder trigone and the sphincters will relax, which will cause the voiding of urine, which is essential physiological function. And in the bronchial muscles will contract. This will not cause much effect in healthy patients, but whereas in asthmatics, the asthmatic patients are very sensitive, because the contraction of bronchial muscles may cause recurrent asthma attacks, and also dyspnea can be caused. Dyspnea means the shortness of breath. The muscarinic actions of acetylcholine will also be seen in glands, because the secretions of the glands will be increased by these actions, which will cause sweating, salivation, lacrimation, gastric secretion and tracheobronchial secretion. Whereas this acetylcholine will not have any effect on milk and bile secretion, and also it will not show any effect on pancreatic and intestinal glands. The gastric secretion will be due to the actions of acetylcholine on gastric glands, but this acetylcholine will not show its effects on intestinal glands. Whereas in the eyes, these will cause contraction of circular iris muscle, which is responsible for miosis. Miosis means constriction of the pupil, whereas by the contraction of ciliary iris muscle, there will be spasm of accommodation. Spasm of accommodation means we can say that the eyeballs will... We can say that the iris muscle will remain in state of contraction for longer time, and outflow will be increased. When the aqueous humor outflow is increased, there will be reduction in the intraocular tension. This can be especially seen in glaucoma patients, and nicotinic actions will include the nicotinic actions will be mainly seen in autonomic ganglia. It is by the nicotinic actions of acetylcholine, we can see that both sympathetic and parasympathetic systems are stimulated, and in the skeletal muscle there will be contraction of fibers, by which we can see fasciculations. Fasciculations means many fibers will be contracted, and there will be twitching like pain in the skeletal muscle due to the nicotinic actions of acetylcholine. And high doses of acetylcholine will cause tachycardia and also rise in BP. Tachycardia means increased number of heartbeats. It is one of the type of cardiac arrhythmia, and there will also be rise in BP due to the high doses of acetylcholine, and this will happen due to the nicotinic actions of acetylcholine.